Alright, so it's just a few hours to go till the new year 2014 comes around, and Mumbaikars at least can rejoice. Well, somewhat anyway. The Bombay High Court has in fact said that pubs and restaurants can now be open till 5 a.m. That's a ruling that's come today, and that in fact has overturned the earlier deadline that the state had set of 1:30 a.m. The court in fact came down heavily and said, well, it's not as if sexual assaults and crimes don't happen on other days of the year. But what's it like in other parts of the country, and why do we have to go to the court to allow us to party all night? That's what we talk about on the social network today. The Bombay High Court allows all-night New Year party, but we ask, why can't we party all the nights? Our Twitter handle is @TSN on NDTV, so you can tweet us live with your thoughts. But let's quickly bring in our panelists for the day. In the studio, we're joined by Vasundhara, who is an activist. From Mumbai, we're joined by Shilpa Fatke. She is a professor at the Tata Institute of Social Sciences. And from Mumbai, we're joined by a former IPS officer, Sudhakar Suratkar. Shilpa, I actually want to start with you first, since you are in Mumbai and you are now allowed to party all night. Why, it's just bizarre that, it's bizarre that we need to go to the court to get permission to be out all night. It's absolutely ridiculous. What do you make of this, and why can't we have this every single day?
I think that's a really good question. Not just every single day, not just necessarily to party, but just to be on the streets. That's also something that's often taboo. If you know, there's a law under the Bombay Police Act against loitering suspiciously between sunset and sunrise. So there's a lot of anxiety, I think, about people being on the streets. And certainly the question that you asked, why can't we be on the streets, in restaurants, all night, every night of the year, is a good question, and one that I think the police and the state would do well to answer.
Let's actually try and see if Mr. Sudhakar can offer some sort of an explanation. Mr. Sudhakar, the police commissioner in fact said that the Mumbai police is in fact overworked and overstretched and understaffed, and hence they can't supervise and ensure that everybody is safe in Mumbai. Do you agree with that explanation?
Actually, if police are used properly, a lot of police force is unnecessarily vested in VIP security and the duties which are not expected of police. So if the police force is used in proper way, I think it's not very difficult. When I was commissioner of Aurangabad, I had permitted party throughout the night, and even the policemen were relaxed and members of public were also relaxed. Actually, it's a joint responsibility of the police, the organizer and the participants themselves. So if all of us observe certain code of conduct, I think everybody can enjoy, and there won't be any burden on the police force also.
But Mr. Sudhakar, the question is less about enjoying. It's just about women and actually even men saying they just want to be out and they just want to feel safe, and they don't need some state with, dandas in their hand to round them up and send them home and say, "Acha chalo, 1:30 baj gaya, ab ghar jao, warna kuch ho jayega."
नहीं, वैसे तो कुछ होने वाला नहीं है. थ्रू आउट द नाइट अगर चलता है और साल भर भी चलता है, एक दिन के लिए नहीं. इफ इट इज थ्रू आउट द ईयर, I think nothing is going to happen. Actually, there has to be fear of law, and as you know, in Bombay particularly, drunken driving, strict action was taken when Mr. Kamble was the Joint Commissioner of Police, and still continued. Today, you will find that in Bombay, the drunken driving after party is reduced to great extent. Now, there is a great demand for drivers. Yeah. My point is that if you enforce the law in proper spirit, without being, say, a nuisance to others, I think you can achieve a lot.
Okay, many of these noises, Vasundhara, are also people, who are, it's easier perhaps to be out of the establishment because the establishment still maintains that they're understaffed and overstretched. But you in Delhi, where that horrific gang rape happened, like just last year, have decided to go out with your friends and reclaim the night. What does all of that mean?
Yeah, I think something that you've already mentioned and even Shilpa spoke about, which is that this attitude, that if you want women to be safe, if you want this idea that for security you have to shove people into their houses, lock them up, is sort of shirking of responsibility, because you sort of assume that these spaces are unsafe. We have assumed in our country, it's a given fact that nights, are simply not for women. Women shouldn't be out on the streets if they want to feel safe and secure. So sort of completely rejecting this argument, we're having a take back the night tonight. We're going to kick in the new year by being out on the streets, by reclaiming the streets, by demanding of the entire state apparatus, including the police. This is a nice tactic that they always say, you know, VIP security. So you're always sort of throwing the ball around and saying it's their fault, it's their problem. We demand from the entire state apparatus that they make the streets, they make the city, and they make every nook and corner of the country safe for women, so that we can freely sort of celebrate and be out.
Walk around and do exactly what you want. Okay, I just want Shilpa to come in. Shilpa, just want to come in with the last point. You know, this whole argument that I was asking Mr. Sudhakar about, that the police is understaffed and overstretched and basically they don't have enough people. Is that the response that the police needs to have? Isn't that reflective of the mentality that the state feels like it needs to protect the women, when that's really not the issue over here at all, is it?
No, it's not. In fact, our research on women's access to public space in Mumbai shows that cities where there are people at night are much safer, where restaurants are open, where even bars are open, where there are hawkers on the street, basically means eyes on the street. The more people on the streets, the safer the streets. In fact, streets where hawkers have been taken off at various points in the last 10 years have become much less safe, and women feel much less comfortable in these spaces. And the other point I wanted to make was about safety itself. Yes, certainly it is the responsibility of the police force to do its job. But what we'd like to say as women, that much more than this conditional safety, if you behave yourself, if you dress well, what we'd like is the right to take risks. That is, not that I should never be attacked in public space, but if I am attacked, nobody should question my right to be in that public space. That it should be that I am expected to be there, I am there, and if something happens, the law should operate and justice should be served.